Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Career Day with Hugs and Ice Cream. And I'm excited about this one because this career is not a career that a lot of people would say is easy to do, I think. And maybe we can talk to Jackie, who I'm introducing to the show. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and Jackie is a dancer, and not like the dancers at the strip club kind of dancer. She's like a professional dancer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about dancing and why you're so passionate about it?
Why dancing? A lot of reasons. I mean, I grew up watching like MTV and Soul Train and all that good stuff. I think like not Nick at Night. What's that one? It's kind of like TRL but on Nick. But anyway, I grew up watching that kind of stuff. I'm a 90s baby.
Adult Swim? Was that the one? No,
No.
that's Cartoon Network. I'm more of a cartoon guy. I didn't watch those shows. I did watch Soul Train though. I remember that. What was the name of the host? He was a good-looking guy. That the bald dude.
Was on Soul Train?
Yeah.
Dom. Oh, I just looked that up yesterday. Dom something. It's gonna come back to me after this interview.
What happened to that guy? That guy was like a really like good actor, and he like did Soul Train. Anyhow, so you would watch those shows?
So I would watch those shows and I would just dream about being one of those dancers like Usher and Aaliyah. Those are some of my childhood idols. But my older sister was also a dancer. She's a ballet dancer who ended up being a senior coach for New York City Ballet. So
Wow.
yeah, I had a lot of reasons to love dance, and I've always loved it.
So for someone like me who sucks at dancing,
No, you don't suck. I don't think
trust me, trust me, I suck. I mean, I have cousins that will take away my Latino card just because I don't know how to dance salsa perfectly. But
well, we should all go salsa dancing. That's something that we'll do.
yeah, I would love to learn how to do it better. My girlfriend would really appreciate me learning how to do it better as well. I don't want to be stepping on her feet all the time. But for someone who like doesn't like dancing, how do you convince me that it's a job? Like, how would you explain to me like it's your job? Like, okay, are you a teacher? Are you choreographing? What are you doing with dancing?
Oh, well, I've been teaching. I actually most recently worked for Arthur Murray. It's the biggest dance franchise in the world, the first dance franchise in the world, I believe, for ballroom. And so I was doing that.
Ballroom.
Yeah, I could teach you salsa and bachata if you want.
Okay.
That's what I was doing most recently and before that. And I'm teaching hip hop. But yeah, that's what I do. For the most part, I'm teaching from basics, beginners who have never stepped on the dance floor. I'm getting them into foundation, intermediate, and eventually into advanced, where they're taking group classes on their own.
Yeah. So what kind of dancing are you trying to focus on? Because you mentioned quite a bit. You mentioned bachata, you mentioned salsa, ballroom, hip hop. Is there any specific dance that you enjoy doing the most or teaching the most, maybe? Well, actually, both questions. What do you enjoy the most, and which one do you like teaching the most?
Definitely hip hop. I appreciate ballroom enough. I mean, there is nothing like the waltz. I still dream about it every once in a while because it's been a while since I've been at the studio, but there's nothing like it because it's so regal and it's like, yeah, you can't find anything like that. And there's no waltzing clubs around, not that I know of in Cali anyway.
Hey, that's a great business concept. Write that down, Monica. We should literally start a ballroom dance club, or at least like rent out a club for a night, and focus on that. That's pretty cool.
Let's do it. It'll be real classy, and then we can,
Dress up,
turn
masquerade
this
up,
recording
all that stuff.
when it's that hour. So yeah, I love both, but definitely hip hop is like my more of my thing.
Okay. And can I ask what got you into dancing, or like, what do you remember the first song that made you start moving?
Oh man. Well, one of the first, I don't remember the first one, but one of the first songs that I remember just really feeling like I'm living my best life, that kind of feeling,
Uh-huh.
was Revolution, the song called Revolution by Kirk Franklin.
Okay. Kirk Franklin, Revolution. I'm not sure if I know that one.
Yeah,
I'll have
he's a gospel artist, so
Oh,
maybe not. But
okay.
it's a song that hits. So
To all the Christian fans, we might have some people who know who he is. Okay,
yeah.
I'll look it up though. I'll make note of that. And for when it comes to dancing, before the show, you kind of mentioned to me that this is what you want to do, and you want to take it to another level on top of teaching it.
Yeah,
What does that look
exactly.
like to you?
Well, I'm looking for an agent right now. So, ideally I want to do commercials and music videos, TV, all that fun
Oh,
stuff.
wow. Okay, cool. And what would you say to someone who it gets discouraged because someone else they like I see I see other people who are like dancing better than me and I'm just like automatically nope, I'm not going out there. So what would you say to people who are like maybe passionate about dancing because there are people who can be very passionate but are not as confident in their abilities or in their moves yet. So what would you say to someone who's struggling?
I would say that's totally normal. Totally normal. I mean, for a dancer at any level, we all have days like that, if not every day, in some seasons where we don't feel like we're good enough or we're not progressing, and the dancer next to us is going to be better in a class. Like, those are all totally normal things. But at the end of the day, for me, it's I just love it so much. Like, it doesn't matter how good I get, or how bad I feel
Yeah.
on any given day. Like, I just love it, and so I wouldn't give it up. And that's one thing. Two, every time I dance, it's just a reminder for me that it's such a blessing that we have all our limbs and hands and eyes and
No,
ears, all our senses to
very
do
true.
something like that. So that's, for me, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
You touched on something that kind of like you don't really think about really, but you said it's a blessing that you have all your limbs, and dancing is a way to express yourself with body movement. So yeah, it is a blessing, and it's just one of those things I guess we take for granted, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But what would you say to those people who are intimidated by people like yourself, who are great dancers, who maybe if a guy saw you at a club and wanted to dance with you and then saw you dance, like, oh, crap. You know, like, what would you say to that person?
I would say that's also totally normal. I wasn't always, the dancer that I am. I started somewhere. Just like, if you asked any dancer, they started somewhere. It's very rare that someone was just born with raw talent. I'm sure you hear that a lot with anyone in entertainment. Like, it's not like you just came out the womb just being
Yeah.
amazing. It
Well,
took
I mean, I
time,
could,
and it
but
took
yeah.
work, and it took patience. Of course, okay, everyone besides you. And so that's where I come in with teaching. And like I said earlier, it's not that you can't dance, you just need the tools, and you just have to enjoy it. You just
Yeah.
really have to enjoy and do it because you love it, and it's fun, and it's something that's social and that you can share with other people. And I always tell people this, but when I see someone dancing, like, I actually really love people watching at, like, the club and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
because and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they can or can't dance. It's
Uh-huh.
it's about the just the spirit that they share in
Sure,
doing so,
sure.
that
I
I
mean,
really love watching people
I
dance.
do it too. I'm that creep in the back that just stays in the table and doesn't go out and dance. That's me sipping on water
Oh,
because I don't
that's
have use for it.
good. Even if it's like a little two-step where it doesn't matter. Yeah, it really doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying yourself.
Honestly, in the dance clubs, I don't know. Like, I'm a very confident person, and I get on stage and I perform. I do comedy, I do music, and I did a show in front of 200 people, sold out crowd. It was really cool. But when it comes to dancing, it's like my kryptonite. It's like the one thing that I'm like not good at, and I suck at it, and I don't like not being good at it. But I haven't done anything to like improve it. And then like the only person really that I goof off with, and I do little dances with is my son. And so, he kind of brings out this like inner child of mine. And like when I see him dancing like a goofball or doing Fortnite dances, I start copying him and we have little dance offs. And then, my girlfriend loves dancing, which I've kind of danced with her a little bit, not actually at a club because COVID, but you
Yeah.
know, I feel comfortable enough with her. I think she's opening me up to the idea. And that's the thing, like maybe you can talk about that, like how like it's all about who your chemistry, like the chemistry you have with your dance partner. So are you more of a solo dancer or do you prefer having like a dance partner with you?
I definitely started solo, to where I couldn't even dance. I couldn't even dance with some of my closest friends and family around. But
Oh, wow.
that's, for me, that was actually bigger fear than dancing in front of strangers. Like, I would dance in front of strangers before I would dance in front of family and friends, because it was such a vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
So it depends on your comfort level. But it's totally normal to not feel comfortable around certain crowds. And it's just because dance is such a vulnerable thing. It's expressing yourself.
Yeah.
It's doing, these movements with your body that you don't normally do,
Yeah.
like the Fortnite dances. And yeah, it's totally normal. And if you can get to, let's say, even if it's just your girlfriend, if you can get comfortable with at least one person and just slowly growing from there, like that's already progress.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to dance the dance of life, you know? I feel like I'm pretty good at that. Like I can waltz with fucking stress anytime and I can deal with that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess just dancing and this is the thing like cuz I've gone out dancing with people before. It's not like I've never danced in my life. I'm more focused on what other people are thinking about what I look like than what I'm actually doing. And when you're buzzed or having a good time, you realize, okay, no one gives a shit about what I'm looking like, and then you just kind of let loose, right? But I don't know how people like yourself could like dance and so expressive because I've seen some of your videos and or like the video you posted recently. I think you just posted a video, and it's very expressive. It's very vulnerable, like you said, and I'm just like, wow, and I'm like a comedian, so I literally talk shit about myself on stage. But like for me, what you're doing is much harder. So yeah, that's a tough position. And do you dance with other people too now, or like duet? Do you call it a duet? What do you call that? Like a
Yeah, you can call it duet.
okay, so like duet with other people, or like do you have a specific dance partner that you like super vibe with?
Not one in particular, but I will find people from time to time, like time in class or, pre-COVID
Yeah,
at bars or clubs and stuff like that. So when you can find that, just like when you talk with someone that you connect well with, that you vibe well with, it's just like that. And, to your point, I wouldn't discount, especially what you do. I mean, not only doing comedy, but making fun of yourself. That's something that I actually really had to learn, not just in talking with people when I worked at the studio, but even making fun of just little things with how I dance. I mean, that's something that when you get to your highest level of comfort, you can kind of poke fun at yourself. Like
yeah,
that's huge because then you're embracing your insecurities and just things that you're not as fine-tuned in, not yet anyway.
yeah, yeah. And so, what does the conversation with your parents sound like when you told them, "Hey, I'm gonna be a dancer"?
Oh man. Well, in Asian culture it's just unheard of, and so yeah, there was no talking about it pretty much.
Really? Nothing at all? You're like you didn't tell them, you're just doing your job and they don't know? They have no
Pretty much,
idea?
pretty much. And so, well, they they brought me to my first dance class when I was younger. They made me do a lot of different things. Just, I mean, you'll probably hear this in Chinese culture especially, but they had me on like a million different activities. My schedule was booked
Yeah.
7 days a week, doing gymnastics and piano and all the typical stuff the little Chinese kid would do. And I my older sister, who's the dancer, she dropped out of school. That was a whole other story. She dropped out of school at 18 to go pursue dance. They hated that, of course, but there was a running joke that she made that she said, you came back from dance too happy, and so they nipped it in the bud. They never let me dance again.
Um,
And so I kept dreaming about it. And so when I turned 18, I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And so I did. I didn't pursue it as a career, but I started taking classes again little by little when I was 18 to maybe just until a couple of years ago that I really started to take it seriously. So
and
for like 10 years, over 10 years, I just dreamt about it.
wow. And when was that click? What was it that happened that made you go, "All right, this isn't a hobby anymore. This is something I'm gonna do." Like, what was there something that pushed you? Was it a life event that happened? Like, what was that moment of transition?
I don't think there was ever one particular moment, but I mean, like I said, I loved it so much. I dreamt about it. I couldn't, like, I lost sleep over it. I just, yeah, I mean, it wasn't, the best way I could say this is I couldn't give up on it. Like God would not allow me to give up on it. There are times I did because I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not very good at it. I'm not getting much better. Like, no one believes in me. But like, I believe in God, and God didn't allow me to give up on it. And so, yeah, that's the best way I could sum it up.
Okay. Now, I usually save this question for like towards the end, but you've kind of touched on it a little bit already, saying words like blessed, you just use God. So maybe I could just ask you now instead, how important is faith to you in what you're doing right now? Like, does it influence at all? Does it influence you at all while you're dancing? The way you move, the songs you dance to, all those things? Does it impact that at all?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned to you before we started, I mean, I believe in God. I'm Christian. My faith has been, I mean, I can't talk about these things without talking about God and my faith because that's just been, I can't even take credit. Like I literally can't with dance, with just everything that's good in my life. Like
Hmm.
there were times like I said, I wanted to give up. There are times no one in my life believed in me
Yeah.
as far as making this a career. They still don't believe in me, actually. They're still like, okay, like, when are you going to get a real job kind of thing? But,
Yeah.
God's been my biggest encourager and cheerleader in all this. Like, not only did he, kind of force me to get my breakthroughs and dance and to heal me in it, but to just build me up in the person that I am.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's my life. Like God is my life, and so I can't talk about, like I said, I can't talk about these things without talking about God.
Okay, that's really cool. I'm glad that, you have something that's helping you and making you feel like you can progress with support. And that's pretty much what we all need. We all need support in what we do. I do want to ask though, how are you handling this whole quarantine pandemic? Being a dance teacher, are you still able to do classes? Are you still able, like, how have you managed during this time?
Oh man. Well, out of all styles, out of all genres of dance, ballroom is definitely the most affected. I mean, we're not only, touching hand in hand, face to face, full body contact, but we're just all up in each other's face. So,
Yeah.
despite that, we found ways to keep going. I mean, the studio I was at, we just wore our masks, and
Yeah.
same with hip hop. People who have been interested, it hasn't slowed them down a whole lot. And even one of my students was saying the other day, if anything, I mean, it's been challenging, of course, but if
Yeah.
anything, this time is connecting with us, with people who are like-minded, and won't let challenges like this stop us from doing what we want to do.
That's a really interesting way of putting it. Because with comedy, it kind of put everything into a halt, like everybody kind of stopped. And then you have like the Zoom shows or the people that have been doing like shows at these bars that are social distancing. And I've considered doing some of these shows. I've been invited to perform at some of these places, but I really don't think right now, and maybe it's different for comedy than it is for dancing, but for me personally, I can understand why people want to do it, and I can see why maybe it's a good time to practice and let them test out some jokes, see if they work or not. But also, it's like it's not the same because, like, for me, I did a Zoom show in the beginning of the quarantine, and I remember looking at all the faces that were kind of like watching me perform, and like you see them smiling or you see them laughing, but you don't know, like, it's not the same when you don't hear it. And yeah, I just don't see how that works. But I like that you put it that way, that you guys are people who are like super dedicated, like-minded, and that's making me think like, oh, maybe I should have participated a little bit more. Maybe I should work on some shows and do them with those people who've been kind enough to invite me over. But yeah, it has been a challenge, and I think that we're all still trying to get adjusted. Do you have any classes going on like right now, or are you what's your main focus right now? Like,
I don't, I mean, I've never really focused on group classes. I mostly teach private lessons, so that's still going on. It hasn't changed a whole lot for me. But as far as dancing goes, that's definitely slowed down. But I'm not just optimistic. I'm still going to submit to agencies and do my videos and all that stuff.
and is that something that the videos, is that something, I've seen some dance videos that are pretty cool. Do you have anyone helping you with that, or is that just all you on your own?
I mean, I have a videographer friend that did my last video,
Yeah,
so that was a huge help. But as far as freestyling, I mean, I'm only really doing freestyle videos right now. That's all me. And I mean, the last one I did was actually not planned at all, which is something I'm trying to do more of, just to kind of just work my creative muscle, I guess,
sure.
to do things last second, like this even. So yeah, it's been good to
Okay.
do some of them.
Really cool. So I want you to envision yourself in front of a classroom. Okay. Just imagine kids anywhere from age 12 to 17, and you're talking to them at a career day event, and they're looking at you as a dancer. What is the best advice that you would be able to give them in regards to wanting to become a dancer?
The best advice I could give, I guess looping back around to what I said earlier, is to just find new ways every day to just love it more. Whether it's for yourself, for others, for different reasons, whether it's for personal growth. I mean, whenever I teach my private lessons, I'm usually giving, I'm giving a lot of information, but generally, I have my students choose just one thing, and it could coincide with with the goals I'm giving them, or it could not, but just one goal for that day. And it could be the smallest thing, like not looking at the floor. It could be something really great, like I'm gonna do really great freestyle that I feel like just super proud of, that I'm gonna post after this.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like make sure you accomplish with just that one small goal for the day. And I kid you not, it just brings so much fulfillment if you just do little steps, little goals every day.
That's really cool. That's the first time someone said that, which is a very solid piece of advice to make little goals and to set them daily. And what's your daily goal for today? We're gonna end the show with our own goals for ourselves for the next couple days. So what is your goal? What's yours?
For today?
Yes.
Well, mine was to just have fun with this interview.
Okay. Were you able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know
Okay,
about you,
cool.
but I'm having fun.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. My goal will be to let's see. Oh, okay. I have a book that I've been trying to read, and my goal will be to complete at least 50 pages today before the end of tonight.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
50 pages is, I'm not a reader, so that sounds like a lot to me.
It's something that I really enjoy doing, and I really wish I had more time to do. And I have like 3 or 4 books on my waiting list that they're just waiting for me to finish this one. So I literally have to force myself. So this is a good thing. Thank you for helping me set this goal.
Cheers.
And thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I hope that, by the time this episode is out, that I can help promote some YouTube video or something that you just released. Or is there anything? Oh, actually, before we end the show, you also have 2 other projects that you're working on, right? Maybe you can talk to me a little bit about those before.
Sure. One is just consulting specifically for dance studios and focusing on communications.
Right.
So building and maintaining the client base and focusing on one conversation at a time from the moment, well, in this case they're not really walking through studio doors, but figuratively, from the moment they walk into those studio doors to the moment they walk out, how to really hone in on those conversations and make every conversation count. That's what I'm doing with that.
Awesome.
And then for the other one, is called Talent Tribe. It's a creative collective, kind of serving as an agency to connect artists with opportunities that best represent their talent, their worth at their best. And I'm hoping that turns into like an event guide as well, kind of like Thrillist and Time Out LA.
Nice.
Advertise those events and that the artists get, and then I'm also hoping that turns into a brand as well.
Really cool. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and tag you, and I'll let people know where to find you. And if you guys need consultation for dance studios, if you want a dance class, if you want to learn more about Talent Tribe LA, I'm going to link all those things here. And thanks again, Jackie, for coming on the show. Really appreciate your time, and hope to have you on here maybe for a different episode, for a different show sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.